Welcome back to the Explainer. So, if you're raising a young dancer, you already know the drill, right? The endless driving, the chaotic schedules, those late night rehearsals, it is a lot. But today, we're zooming in on what happens when they actually walk back through your front door. We're diving into exactly how you can foster your dancer's growth right from the living room, using some fantastic insights from dance instructor Vladislav Knight. Let's get right into it. So, here's the big question you've probably asked yourself a million times. How can you actually support them without completely overstepping? It's a bit of a tightrope walk, isn't it? You want to be their biggest cheerleader, keep them fired up, but you definitely absolutely want to avoid causing unnecessary stress or, the dreaded burnout. The source material makes it super clear that real support is way more nuanced than just nagging them to practice for hours on end. The whole philosophy here boils down to this. Your main job at home is to create a vibe where your dancer feels safe, motivated, and genuinely proud of themselves. Whether they're leaping through ballet, popping in hip-hop, or doing contemporary, your support needs to be consistent and constructive. We are playing the long game here, prioritizing real, long-term growth over some impossible standard of immediate perfection. Okay, let's jump straight into part one, the foundation, setting up for success. This is all about getting the physical space and routine dialed in. Now, you might assume that logging long, grueling hours at home is the secret sauce. Actually, scratch that. Young dancers thrive on short, predictable bursts. A really solid practice session just hits 4 easy beats: a quick warm-up, some focused technique work, reviewing their choreography, and then a proper cool-down. That's the whole shebang. If they start losing focus, just shorten the session and keep the energy high. Of course, they need a safe spot to actually do this. So you're essentially building a mini studio in your house. Clear away any tripping hazards. Yes, shove that coffee table out of the way. If they're on a hard floor, make sure they have the right socks or shoes so they don't slip. If you can grab some supportive flooring, even better. Oh, and keep water right there. It's all about making sure they don't jump into complex moves totally unprepared. I really need to pause here and emphasize this next point because it is absolutely crucial. The text puts it plainly. Pain isn't something to push through. If your kid is leaping or stretching and they feel a sharp pain, full stop, period. In some sports, we hear no pain, no gain, but with developing bodies in dance, sharp pain is a massive red flag that you have to address immediately. All right, moving on to section 2, the right words, feedback, and goals. Let's talk about the psychological side of things. The way you frame your feedback is literally a game changer. Kids internalize harshness so fast. So instead of a blunt, "Well, that was wrong," which, let's be honest, just kills the mood instantly, try something specific and kind. Something like, "Hey, your posture is really improving. Let's keep that alignment on the next count." Praise the effort. Say, "Good job sticking with it." And here's a massive pro tip from the text. Give them just one correction at a time. If you unload 5 things they did wrong, they're just going to shut down. This ties right into how we set goals. Telling a kid, "Hey, go master that turn," is a huge, incredibly intimidating expectation. But if you break it down into a bite-sized piece, like, "Let's focus on a clean arm position on counts 1 through 4, suddenly it's totally doable. Review these little mini goals every week, celebrate the wins, and if a goal is just too stubborn, pivot, adjust it. It keeps their motivation right where it needs to be. Now, if you're a dancer gets the jitters before an audition or a big recital, you've got to try performance reps. This is such a cool concept from the text. Basically, you run short sections of their routine at home, but you turn down the house lights, turn up a spotlight, and blast the actual music. You're recreating the pressure of the stage right there in the living room. It is a brilliant way to tackle performance anxiety head on. Next up, pillar number 3, mind and body, health, recovery, and fun. This is about keeping dance a healthy, sustainable part of their life. Your home is basically base camp for their ongoing health. We're talking proper warm-ups, gentle mobility work, and cool-downs. But it's not just about physical movement, right? Consistent sleep, good nutrition, staying hydrated, these are absolutely vital. Because what happens off the dance floor directly dictates their energy, their focus, and how well they bounce back when they step into the studio. I absolutely love this next insight. Sometimes the absolute best support you can give is simply knowing when to call it quits. You have to teach them to listen to their bodies and just rest when they're wiped out. Proactively schedule breaks. Let them go do something else. Dance is amazing, but it shouldn't consume their entire universe. And honestly, to keep it from feeling like a strict chore, you've got to mix in some pure fun. Let them just mess around and stretch to their favorite playlist. Let them make up a totally goofy, casual routine on their own. Or just sit on the couch together and watch the pros perform on TV. When dance is tied to joy rather than just strict practice, that motivation is going to last a lifetime.
Okay, finally, we're at the last step of the blueprint, the team approach, specifically working with their instructors.
Because, look, you are not in this alone. You need to ask their teacher, what skills are you prioritizing right now? Open up that dialogue. Find out what home practice should actually look like from their perspective. When your expectations match their official training plan, your at-home support hits the nail right on the head. And while you've got the instructor's ear, ask them for simple drills and the exact form cues they use in class. This is huge. If you're using the same vocabulary as the teacher, you completely avoid accidentally teaching them bad habits at home. You want to be speaking the exact same technical language. Also, if your dancer is dealing with recurring pain or frequent injuries, it is time to call in backup. The text is clear here. Coordinate with their dance instructor, but also bring a healthcare professional into the mix. Expand that support team to make sure their long-term physical health is completely protected. So, what does this all mean? It all comes back to this one core idea from the text. The goal isn't to make every session perfect, it's to help them learn, grow, and enjoy the process. I mean, that just takes all the pressure off, doesn't it? It's not about building a stressed-out robot, it's about raising a happy, growing artist. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with this. How are you going to help your young dancer find joy in today's practice? I challenge you to take this philosophy, growth and joy over strict perfection, and put it into action right now. Thanks so much for hanging out with me to break down this guide. Now go create an awesome, supportive space for your dancer.